Let me look into the first question. Okay, the first question is like no matter how hard I try not to identify with my work, I still get pulled in. So there's always a lot of uh, at the workplace. It is going to be like that. Most of the days it's just consuming me, and then the same work conversation keep replaying in my mind in different permutation combinations. I've been chanting or remembering David throughout the day, but it's still going sucked back to work. So you think you are doing the sadhana, but at the same time you are getting trapped in your day-to-day activities and everything. This basically means that you still have not decided like what you want from your life. It's very very important. You prioritize what is much more important for you. Uh, as Sadhguru always says that there are only two things you need to do in your life. The first thing is the profoundness of experience, and the another thing is the impact in the world. So what you actually refer as the your work or interacting with your friends, families, job colleagues, everything, whatever you're doing, that is basically falls into the second category. Okay. So that is the reason, like until you have not arrived, to certain sense of profoundness of experience without the external stimuli. Okay, without the external source, like if you have not arrived to the profoundness of experience, then you will still be sucked in by many things. Okay, so that is the reason, the first thing you need to do in your life is simplify your life a little bit, because at the moment it looks like whatever you are doing, the activities and everything is too big. Okay, so why I'm asking you this is because there is always a saying that you should always try to handle what you can initially. Okay, only when you build up your capability, then you can move on to much more harder and much more difficult things and bigger things. Otherwise, if you try to do something which you are not capable of handling it, slowly it is going to uh, empower you, and then it will be very very difficult to manage things. That's why the first thing is going to be balance, and second thing is the competency. Because if you need to work in the world, then you need a competency. Without competency, just having a good idea is a fantasy. Okay, it's not going to work. So the first thing, balance, which will of course Hatha Yoga is going to give you. If you think that whatever the sadhana you are doing is not good enough, go for the advanced programs and try to bring some bhakti and karma yoga in your action. Okay, because 21st century people, you cannot live without interacting with other people. Okay, so that basically means that bring some devotion and bring some offering interaction while interacting with the people, so that there's no friction. Okay, not friction between other people, the friction within yourself. Because at the moment there are two ways of living life. Okay, one is seeing everything as a responsibility, or uh, the ability to respond, which is a positive way of thinking it, or looking everything as uh, slavery. Okay, somebody has asked you to do it like a duty. Okay, if you think that okay, this is my duty to do it and everything, you have seen after a while, everybody's face become very long, because there's no willingness. Okay, so that's it. So you just be willing to whatever you're doing, because once you are born, you don't have a choice. If you are not born, that's a different thing altogether. But once you are born, you don't have a choice rather than going through this life. Okay. Now, when you go through this life, things are going to happen in your life. Now, if you think that oh, why this is happening, and you start complaining, things are not going to change. Okay, people have been complaining for time immemorial. Okay, but nothing has changed. Things change only when you transform the way you interact with the world. So because of that reason, like whatever is happening in your life, whether it is job or like a family, friends, or guru or sadhana or even hardcore spirituality, whatever it is happening in your life, you have to go through willingly. Okay, and there's no shortcut to life. There's absolutely no shortcut to life. You just have to go through willingly. Okay, if you go willingly, if you go reverently, if you go joyfully, then like what is the issue? There's no issue. But at the moment, if you try to, try to choose something that you cannot digest, it's going to be a big problem. That's why try to simplify your life first of all. Hold on to the sadhana, go for the advanced programs and everything. Once you have some control over your own well-being, how pleasantly experience you want to experience your life, then after that it will be very easy. Okay, you will not be asking this kind of question. But before this, like I can see that like you need to simplify your life a little bit and add more practices. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the next question is about uh, one of the brahmachari at the ashram said that he wants to come back and support his guru's work. Now the question that has asked, like, is it really possible that like we want to come back and then do this? Now, now is it necessary? That's the another question altogether. Because if you want to come back, okay, if you want to come back and everything, you have to program in that way, completely different way. Okay, everything whether you call as a bondage, liberation, reincarnation, dissolution, everything is just the programming. Okay, it's just the programming. So if you want to program yourself to come back, then you need to do a lot of sadhana. Okay, it is not going to happen just like that, because the nature of the existence is such that like once you shed your body and the mind, you'll not have access to them. Okay, unless you have certain mastery, and which barely, very, very barely few people will have. Very, I wouldn't say people, because like once you drop your body, you're no longer people. So the very few beings will have that capability of doing that. Now if you just have a desire, it's just the entertainment. Okay, you have to strive. You have to strive so that like you have mastery. That's what we're talking about. The Yogeshwaraya is possible for everyone, but if you want to attend to the dimensions of the Bhuteshwaraya and Kaleshwaraya, you have to strive. Okay, it will not come just like that. So yes, 100% it is possible, but is it necessary? It's debatable, because the amount of the energy that is needed for these kind of things to happen, that energy can be used somewhere else. Okay. So again, not me to say anything, but I'm just saying my understanding. Okay. So let's move. So the next question is like how to approach a information material, whether it is a video, whether it is a book or poem or whatever it is, in order to learn quickly or grasp something and apply your learning material, gain or earn money, or difference between information and knowledge. It is a very, very simple question. I think uh, you guys have not gone through the school, I think. If you have gone through the school and everything, you have been given the same approach. They have not told you the technique, but you know, some people has got like a very bright memory. Some people don't have. That's a different thing altogether. But if you really want to learn, uh, there are like I'll give you a technical answer, but at the same time, there's another way also. Okay, you have to understand that like there is something known as the book smart, and there is something known as the street smart. I think you must have heard about the street smart. But we'll not be using the word like the street smart, but we are going to say that book sense and then the life sense. Okay, So if you want to have a book sense, or if you want to learn from something somewhere and everything, then the easiest way is like there are four approaches. I think like you have used from your childhood. You just don't remember. Okay, these are reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Okay, if you would do the all this combination of four, then your temporary memory will go into the permanent memory. Okay, at the moment, like you guys are just listening to my whatever I'm saying, you are just using one part of the learning phase, which is very bad, terrible. It's going to be just entertainment. Okay, so listening part you have done. Now reading, there's no book, so that's a different thing altogether. Writing, are you writing anything, notes taking or something? I do not know how many of you are writing, because the moment you listen, like you think that you know. Okay, it's a very sad thing actually, because I'm getting like so many similar kind of questions again and again. Okay, anyways, the another one is uh, listening, reading, writing, and so on. Okay, all these four different ways. Okay, so when you went to the school, what you do? The teacher is going to come to you and then says, "Okay, read this chapter." You read. Okay, now you have to wrote it down, write it down, and everything. You write, and then there's a listening aspect is also there. Okay, and then finally speaking. Okay, so once you start speaking, then like if you just use two or more method, if you use all four together, then like your memory will become very sharp. Okay, that's how it is. uh, Now the another aspect, but like this is fine, this is for the book is smart, this is going to just make your memory more stronger, that's what it is. But if you want to have a sense of life and everything and learn everything, then there's no shortcut to life. You have to experience, and to experience is not that easy. You have to take risks. Okay, if you don't take risks, you're gonna learn. You want to make money, but like you don't want to invest money, you don't want to learn new, you know you don't want to learn new things. For example, like even for these spiritual things also, there are many people like when they see that, oh, it costs money to become part of the community, they don't want to do it. That means they are not willing to risk. That basically means they don't trust themselves. Okay, it's not about the money. Okay, it is just simply because you don't trust yourself, that's why you don't want to take risks. Yes, if you take risks, then like you'll trust, and as Sadhguru says, what is the worst thing that can happen? Worst thing is going to be failure. Yes, if you fail, then like you'll know, maybe I'm not doing good enough, or like there might be the alternative way to do things. So you will just like ensure that like what is going to work and what is not going to work. That is what the wisdom comes from. The wisdom will only come from to know what to use, what not to use, and when to use. That's what it is all about. What is the wisdom? Okay. So, is there any difference between information and knowledge? Very sad thing. See, like the information, the word information basically means information only. Okay, the information is going to tell you that like it is going to rain today. Okay, it is just going to tell you rain today. Okay, now if you refer to the knowledge, knowledge is going to tell you like understanding of it. Okay, now it is going to rain. Now you need to see that like what should you do, or like when to do, or what not to do. All these things is going to be knowledge. When you implement the information, then knowledge happens. That's why like there are three different words. I think like somebody asked me last time also. There's a word something known as the vidya, jnana, and pragyana. Okay, or pragya it's called. Okay, pragya and pragyana, both of them are same. So vidya is basically the information. Okay, you go and then a guru is going to tell you what it is, and then you do like a reflection on that one and everything. That's the information. Okay, which is the vidya. Okay, of course, it's a useful information. When you call as a vidya, we always use as a useful information that you can use. If you cannot use it, then like it's not a vidya. Okay. Now, but to have a jnana, then you have to use that vidya. Okay. Only when you use that vidya or the information, then you'll know that whether it works or not. Okay, that is a jnana. Jnana basically means now you know it has been distilled. Okay, which information is useful, which information not useful. That is a jnana. Now pragyana basically means before the jnana happens. Okay, so one way of approaching the jnana is through the information, which is always the material in nature. Okay, physicality in nature. So jnana is always in physical in nature, but pragyana is basically it's the perceptive knowledge. Okay, the knowledge that happens through perception. For example, like if somebody is going to tell you you are not the body, you are not the mind. That is the vidya. Okay, that is the vidya. Now, if you start doing meditation and all that kind of stuff, and then you test that information, and eventually you realize, then that becomes a jnana. Okay, but without knowing and everything, just through the direct experience of it, then you don't need information. Okay, you know where it is. For example, if I touch my hand here, even if I close my eyes, touch with the hand, I know there's a part of myself. Okay, so I know I have got this part of the body. That is a pragyana. Pragyana basically means is the before the knowledge or the perceptive knowledge. So jnana basically means understanding. Okay, knowledge and everything. So I think that clarifies that. If you have any question, you can push it afterwards. Okay. I think uh, that's the same question. I think the follow up question was like that. Elaborate duality, jnana, pragyana, and then the vibhutivada. Vibhutivada, I think we discussed already in one of the satsang. I'm not going to discuss that. But I think a duality is also quite simple. I think don't go by theoretical information. Okay, don't go by theoretical information. See, without the duality of your mind, okay, the duality exists only in your mind. You have to understand that part. Okay, in existence, there is no such thing as a duality. Okay, the duality is only in your mind because without the duality, the body cannot survive. Okay, how do you know you are hungry? Is because you know because you are not hungry before, isn't it? You are hungry now because you are not hungry before. Okay, you are tired now because you are not tired earlier. Okay, so like this, there are different stages that the mind can compare. Okay, so through experience, through comparison of experience, you'll know what is this and what is that and which is this and that and everything. But the subjective dimension is completely different. The subjective dimension, uh, you cannot label it. Okay, so duality is such that by comparison between one and another, you know the reality. That is a duality. But the subjective dimension, in subjective dimension, there's no different. Okay, and that is the Saivites refer as non-duality or the Advaita. So I got another question why do you wear a black shawl for the satsang? That is the reason in the last few days of the satsang I stopped wearing the black shawl. I think you got the answer already. Okay, black shawl, no shawl, whether you have a body or not a body, it has nothing to do with it. Okay, that dimension which is referred as a spirituality does not need anything, but of course for specific purposes and everything, they can play certain roles, but yeah, yeah, the shawl has nothing to do with in this context. So the questioner asked us the questioner was unable to attend the Kala Bhairavi and then says that how was it and everything. Yeah, it was very powerful process and everything. and you don't need to be there at the time. Now you can go and have a darshan when you'll be going. Okay. So subjective dimension or something like it's best not to share anything. Even for me also, like I don't carry these kind of ideas and everything. Whatever is happening right now, that is the most important thing. Okay, this moment is the most important thing. Whatever is happening, because this is the only real thing. Okay, everything else is just a memory and imagination. Okay, so Sadhguru has powerfully consecrated. So whenever you visit, like you can go and meditate there. There's arati happening also in specific times of the day, so you can participate on that one. So I have another question. The same questioner is asking that it's not possible for me to participate on these consecrations and everything. Can I recreate them and extend them? No, it's not possible. Unfortunately, it's not possible. So in life, like if you think something is important for you, you have to make it a priority. Okay, you have to make it happen. It's not going to be like that. Somebody asked me that Ramana, you are very very lucky or something, but I made those choices and I made those choices and made it happen for myself. Okay. Nobody made it happen for me. Okay. Possibility has been open 100%. I'm agreeing with that one. Like Sadhguru created the possibility, the volunteers have created the possibility. There are like uncountable number of people who made it happen. Okay, but that possibility was open for everyone. Okay, even this Kalbhairava Sthapana was even better because there was a free walk-in also. You didn't need to pay anything to participate. Okay, but we always have a precondition, isn't it? Just like we said that certain condition has to fulfill and everything. So don't be like that. Okay, if it matters to you, make it happen for you. So I think the latest consecration that is about to happen is going to be the Linga Vairavi in September, and then Kala Vairava consecration in the December. So after that, we have to wait a lot of years because the next one I think is going to be happening in Hyderabad possibly. Okay, but we never know. Okay, so or maybe Triple I. Yeah. So I have a question. Another question: spiritual growth is not only about. So the question is about spiritual growth is not only about the inner effort. Does it also require protecting mind for disturbances? Very sad thing. Uh, this is a very sad kind of question. Like after all these things we have been going through and everything, why there is a disturbance in your mind is simply because it's a very simple thing. Okay, like even it took me a long time to come to realize. Okay, very long period of time to realize because nobody was there to tell me. Of course, like a Sadhguru was there screaming all the time, but I was not ready to listen. Maybe it's happening to all of you, but you guys are part of the community. Okay. Uh, see, just like we said earlier, if you want to proceed, if you want to strive in a spiritual path, there are so many challenges. Okay? There are so many challenges as we discussed earlier. There are challenges that are in your conscious sphere, okay, that you are aware of. Just like the one of the meditator was asking earlier, like I was unable to go for the consecration. Okay, who was stopping you? You are stopping yourself. Okay, don't bullshit anything. Don't give reason that I don't have these, that, and everything. All made up things. Okay, we have to be clear about ourselves. Okay, if you really wanted something, I know that you are willing to fight for it. Okay, but you relegated it into optional thing. That's why you are not there. Let's be honest with it. There are like a little bit more other things more important than that to you. Let's be honest with that one. Now, regarding this, okay. So there are many aspects that are in your conscious sphere that is under your control. But there are far many things which is not in your perception, which is beyond your control. For them, like there's a Sadguru, there's a Adi Yogi, and there are many other powerful processes and powerful beings to help you, and also like a powerful beings to block you also. Let's not go into that one, but what I'm trying to say it is, you have to take charge of something that you can take charge of. Okay, anything that is you cannot take charge of, you cannot do anything. But anything that you can take charge of, you have to do. For example, like the easiest thing is four things. Okay, the physical body. If the physical body does not need to come on your way, because at the moment, like the only barrier that can come on your way, which you can have control over consciously, is basically your mind and body. Okay, mind and the body are the only thing that can come on the way. Okay, yeah, there is spiritual process because your body wants to sleep, body wants to eat, the body wants to do so many other things also. So if your body should not come on your way, then it has to be well fed. It should not have any disease and everything. It should be healthy, technically. Okay, the body should be healthy. Likewise, like the mind, should not have any biases. Okay, the moment you have biased, if you are the moment you are biased, then like your memory is going not going to work effectively. Okay, because it is going to ignore everything that it does not like, isn't it? Yes, the moment you are biased, you cannot see anything else that does not fulfill the required criteria of that biasness. Okay, you are completely going to reject the entire amount of the perception that is not based on your bias. Now when it comes to your feelings, like the only thing, the best thing that we can do is like make your feelings pleasant, lovable and loving and everything. And if you are willing, like it become loving immediately. You don't need to do anything, just be willing, everything becomes very loving. Okay, it's like that. There are other factors also, but like I'm just like making it simple. So handling the disturbance of mind or something like that, it's simply because like you have not decided. There are other things that are more important for you than the sadhana. That's what has happened. You have to prioritize, what you want in your life. Okay, if you have a disturbance in the mind, then like it's going to be very, very difficult. That's why like you have to watch your try to be in silence for a certain period of time, so that your pratyahara, I think you know the word pratyahara, so that your thoughts is going to slow down. Okay, slow down. Okay, don't judge or analyze or do anything to your thoughts. Okay, whatever thought comes, just so that like it is going to slow down. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Okay, don't try to like basically like usually like another way of having a disturbance in the mind is basically you cannot accept the reality. You are fighting with the nature. Okay, the moment you start fighting with the nature, then like you cannot win. You'll fail because there's no difference between you and the nature. Okay, anyone like who is fighting with himself is just like wasting the lot of energy. So just like don't try to create disturbance within yourself. No need to protect your mind because you cannot protect your mind. Okay, you can never protect your mind because you can just make your mind conscious or create a distance. There are like many practices like that. So there is another question like is silence and stillness the same dimension? Okay. So Sadhguru says that like the word silence in English is not actually accurate, because silence basically means like there's no sound or anything. Okay, silence basically means no sound. Stillness basically means like there's no movement. But a person can be 100% silent. Let's say like 100% silent, but like that person can be 100% active also. You have seen Sadhguru, yeah? He's silent within himself, but he is doing so many things. Likewise, like a person like who is unmoving and still meditating, but like a whole chaos can be going on within his mind. Okay, so that person may not be silent. So it is not an criteria. It is not an criteria. Like these are like different aspects of it altogether. But see, this is what we were talking about. We are discussing earlier that like yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Uh, by doing yoga, like this thing going to happen, or like a chitta, vritti, nirodha. By doing like yoga is going to happen. It's not like that. Okay. So when you touch that another dimension, the body is going to become silent and still by itself, okay, as a byproduct. But it's not necessarily so, because like there are many different aspects of it. It's not like a very straightforward. Life is very very paradoxical. Okay, so I'm not going to go much more further, but based on the question and everything, yeah, you can use like these are like some kind of symptoms or some types of signs that somebody's touching that another dimension, but not always so. Okay, so there are many different ways of accessing that dimension. So there is another question like, is there any internal transmutation in which we can take charge of compulsions and negative emotions, anger, hunger, and then use that energy consciously? How to master that? Some karma like coiled spring to handle this, just accept and change, challenge. If I keep accepting and going through same cycles, then how could I change that? You have to read a karma book. Okay, you have to read a karma book. Okay. There are many ways to deal with this, but usually, if you want to use a shortcut, like I'll tell you a joke or a reality thing. Let's say you are on the top of the hill. Okay. If I ask you, like, what is the quickest way to go to the bottom of the hill? It's of course jumping, isn't it? Yes, that's the quickest way. But we do not know, like, how many body parts you are going to break, or you'll still be alive or not. That's the other way. The other ways are like making use of the ropes and everything, which you need a lot of skill and everything, which not everybody can do it. There can be elevators also, there can be paraglides also. There are so many different ways to get to the bottom. Okay. For the one like who is not, who want to reach the bottom the safe way possible, then like you have to take stairs. Yes, take stairs or like some other safer ways rather than going directly. So whatever you have to understand like how the karma works. Okay. So the whole your existence, this body sitting here, is only because of the karma. Okay. Now, if you reject the existence of the karma, that basically means that like you reject, you feel hungry, you feel attracted towards the opposite sex. You reject everything, what you are. That way, like the life doesn't function that way. Okay. The whole idea is to make everything a conscious process, so that like whatever the karma is there, like you are going to transform them every moment of your life. Because if you don't have a karma left, then like you cannot hold your body also. It's impossible. And if you want to dissolve that karma and everything, it's not that simple also. Okay. It is not as simple as like just like we are talking and everything. So if you make every action in your life very, very conscious, then there's no problem, isn't it? There's no problem. Life is a very beautiful like this. Okay. Only when you are trying to fight, it becomes very, very difficult. And like I discussed earlier, there's nobody else to fight. Okay. So yes, there are ways, but they are not the very safest ways. The another way of overcoming the karma is basically you do a whole lot of sadhana, hatha yoga, everything, whatever the sadhana you know about, just go after it. And you need the intervention of the guru to keep it in the fast forward. Okay. Otherwise, like I'm going to tell you, like it might sound very hopeless or something like that. Uh, until you are alive, until we are alive and everything, the karma will be in the play. Okay, it will be in the play all the time. The challenges in life will be there. The problems in the life will be there. So the only choice that we have is to become conscious and take that kind of position, like which is going to liberating for us and not trapping for us. Okay, otherwise, like it's going to be never ending process in life.
Anna, you are mute. You are mute, Anna.
Can you guys hear me now? Okay, great. Okay, right. Okay, thank you very much for your confirmation. So, like I was saying, that somebody asked me the same question in a bus, that what happens to all these kind of things, and same question. Okay, not different. So what I was trying to say is like you should not be worried about the death. You should not be worried about the body, mind, or something like that. But you have to understand like how the memory works. Okay, if you know how the memory works, then there's no issue. Now, every day, like every moment, so many things are entering your system. Okay, through eyes, nose, and so many things. Now, why some memory becomes more enduring and some memory does not become enduring is only because you have given a value to certain kind of memory and you have completely ignored the value for the another kind of memory. Yes, for example, like if you love something or you hate something, that basically means you have given value to that memory. Okay, so that becomes the permanent memory. Okay, so like that, like when the moment of the death comes, you might have a very strong kind of memory, which now becomes a desire. Okay, desire is basically means that unfulfilled memory. Okay, you had certain kind of memory and then you wanted to fulfill that one, but for some reason like it didn't fulfill. Okay, it can be like a positive kind of memory or negative kind of memory, whatever it is. And of course, like a life is always going to remain incomplete. So Whatever the memory that you have given the highest value, uh, that memory becomes the seed for the next lifetime. Okay, and that is going to program all your prarabdha, and then like you'll come back again. Okay, that is basically the samskaras, and each your samskaras and tendencies are nothing but the programming, how you have been programmed. Okay, that is the reason like you'll always be attracted towards certain kind of friends, a group of people, and so on. So like I was saying to all of you that the moment you give value to certain things, that becomes a permanent enduring memory. For example, like you give values to what your parents are saying, what your partner is saying, and everything, what your children is saying, what your guru is saying. That's how it becomes a more enduring kind of memory. But you disregard like the people who are saying this thing and that thing, so they never become the enduring kind of memory. Okay, so it is up to you like what kind of memory you want to make. That is the whole reason, like the whole idea of doing the karma yoga is to go beyond your likes and dislikes. Okay, because your likes and dislikes are the one that is going to create the enduring kind of memory, and that enduring kind of memory becomes the seed for the unfulfilled desire. Okay, so that unfulfilled desire becomes the seed for the next birth. I don't want to talk about that one, but since this question is all about that one, even you can think about it like let's forget about the next life. Just think about this one day. Okay, take this one day today, take today as one birth, and see like what are the most strongest desire in a life, and what is the uh, you know uh, not very important kind of desire. Now you go to bed and sleep. Next morning when you wake up, the most stronger desire that you had yesterday will always be there. Okay, that's how the memory works. Okay, but if you become very very willing, and whatever is coming in your way, you just accept them as it is, and then like try to just do your best, because that is the only thing you can do. For example, like even if you have given so much value to a particular kind of memory, you still have to act. Okay, just because you are conscious or unconscious, the existence does not give you a free license. Okay, even if you are conscious, you have to put the same amount of effort, and if you are unconscious, you also have to put the same amount of effort. Okay, so this is how it works. Yeah, that's the mechanics of the memory. And come to logical understanding. Why does it take time? You guys have to understand that I don't have another system, so whenever I'm switching to the another screen to read the question, like the audio and video can lose, okay, for a certain few seconds. So for the profoundness of experience and translate into living reality and come to logical understanding, why does it take time? In other way, why does the mind resist, and how does we hasten this process? You have to understand that the mind can never understand. Okay, you have to understand this part. Mind never understands. If you think that like the mind has understood, like you can write one book, that's it. It won't be useful. Okay, the mind is just there to make arrangements of your life. That's it. Okay, that's why we have been telling that if you simplify your life, the mind will not be stressed. The mind will be, very free and available to you. Like if you simplify your life, if you make your life too complicated, then the mind will try to solve the problem. That's it. Okay, it can never come to understanding and everything. Realization, what we call as a realization, is not of the mind. Okay, the mind can never realize anything. Okay, The mind can never realize anything. The body can never realize. So at the moment, like if you're still, if we change the question that you know experiencing and realizing, why does it take time? Then in that case, like karma and maya, these are the two things are there. Karma is there, maya is there, because like the maya is also like the product of the karma. But at the same time, the intention is not there. Okay, you have to become very, very playful and effortless. Okay, if you want to, just like that's why Sadhguru says that, like if we ask people to become relaxed, then people become lazy. Okay, if you we ask people to become, effortless and everything, people become lazy. If we want people to become intense, then become very, very serious and tense. Okay, so you have to come to this point where you are like effortless. Okay, whatever is doing, like whatever needs to be done, you have to do it. But in a way, don't get too much stuck with the results orientedness and everything. Okay, which is not going to help. So to summarize, like the mind can never realize, the mind can never understand anything. These are all just ideas, ideas, and ideas. That's why we have been telling from the beginning that the whole process of spiritual process is to go beyond names and forms, and names and forms belongs to the domain of the mind. Now we have the another question. The questioner asks that in a podcast you have a talk about like a 3 months period of this heartbreaking sadhana. Does it need a fine with no physical issues and everything, all that kind of stuff? Okay, everything needs certain kind of requirements, isn't it? For example, like if I need to speak the podcast, my throat should be working, the mobile phone has to work, the internet has to work. There are so many conditions out there. Okay, so that is the whole reason, like why it's because of the competency. If you want to explore all the dimensions, you need certain kind of competency in all levels. That is the whole reason, like a guru is going to give you a whole lot of processes. Okay, so you don't need to use the same process as everybody else. Okay, for example, like let's say I want to get enlightened. Okay, to get enlightened, let's say like you don't need anything. You don't even need karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, kriya yoga. You don't need anything. But at the moment, like you cannot sit without any action. Like you have got so much karma and everything. So to work with those karma, you have to go through the yoga. Okay, the whole process of doing the yogic practices and sadhana is just to make that karma more malleable, dismantled, and dissolved if possible. Okay, so that whatever you need to see and experience, you can experience and see very easily. But now, like, if you want to do Kriya Yoga and Hatha Yoga and everything, yes, physicality, physical endurance is needed, all that kind of stuff is needed. Without that, you cannot do anything. Okay. But like that is the whole reason. Like if you cannot do that, like you can do bhakti yoga, karma yoga, you can do karma yoga. Also, people say like action. No, it's not like that. Karma yoga does not necessarily have to do complete physical action. Your mental action and everything can be used as a karma yoga. Everything can be used as a karma yoga. Okay, so yeah, like if you need to have a healthy body and everything, but you just push it to the amount you can do it. Okay, don't overdo it or anything. Just because we are talking about the heartbreaking sadhana, not everybody is capable of doing, or not everybody wants to do it also. Okay, but if you really want to do it, like it's possible for everyone in their own ways. It's but you have to do in a way that like uh, non-comparatively. Okay, spiritually in spirituality there should be no comparison and no competition. Just because somebody is doing like this many hours of sadhana does not mean you have to do it. Okay, but again, like there will be certain possibilities that is going to be missed and everything. But if you are kind of person like who is going to ask too many questions, then the only thing that you'll get in your hands is just the answers. You'll not get the solutions. If you want to have a solution, then you have to use the tools. Without using the tools, like there's no fruit. Okay, unfortunately, like in the spiritual dimension, nobody can grow mangoes for you. Okay, you have to grow your own mangoes. I think we have run out of questions for today. So thank you very much for joining in today, and we'll see you guys for the next satsang. Okay. So yeah, like great to see all of you here again after the satsang. I think like all of you had a great time. So okay, if somebody has a question, like you can post in a chat box. Okay, I'll just like wait for a few minutes. If you guys want to ask the follow-up question. Okay, balance. Okay, balance is very simple. Just do the sukha kriya as fast as you can. It is going to bring balance to your system. Look for the food that is not very rajasic and tamasic in nature. That is going to help your body. Okay, so you can experiment yourself, like eating certain kind of fried foods and everything for a few days and everything. You will see that your body, you cannot even maintain your body. Your body is going to be very itchy and like a, it cannot sit still. Okay. But if you eat certain kind of like a very sattvic kind of food and everything, balanced food and everything, then like the body will start listening to you. Okay. So that's it. Yeah. Balance is just that. Okay. Thank you very much for joining in today. And we'll close with information. Okay. You have a question? Yeah. Patanjali Yoga Sutras, don't read any Patanjali Yoga Sutras book. Okay. You'll only waste your time. But if you want to read, like read whichever you want. But don't read any of the books. That's my understanding because you will come with your own interpretation. Even Sadhguru said, he said that these are just the formulas, and without the Guru, it's not going to work. For example, I have a book of the 112 methods also, and I found that like even very popular books, they have got very wrong methods and everything also. So let's not go into that one. When the Guru is there, let's make use of the Guru. Don't waste your time in like a Patanjali Yoga Sutras because everybody will have their own interpretations. Okay. Okay. But if you are curious, like you can still read it. Okay. I'm not going to say like I don't read it, but I'm just telling you the consequences of that. Okay, let's end with invocation. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya Am Shanti Shanti Shanti